Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Awareness Club Talks, in which I have here with me Anna and Alina. And today we will be speaking about the body, about how we should listen to our body, to its signals and what they have to tell us. Most of the times when we are speaking about personal development and evolution, we are thinking about what stays on our heart, about harsh feelings, about traumas, and most of the times we are related to psychologists or coaches. But a very simple method it will be to just listen to what our body has to say. And this is why today we will be speaking with these two beautiful ladies in how we can do that and what are some exercises that we can do by ourselves at home to give a good result on the spot. So let's dive into it.
Hello, Bogdan. Hello, Anna. It's very interesting that we arrived to this topic such early after our initial invitation to our talks. And I think when we speak about awareness and in the relationship with consciousness, I think the next step in which we should consider or we should look, it's literally the body. Because it's the compass, it's the temple, or I think many people have described it in many ways, a vehicle, an avatar, or I think there are multiple ways in which our bodies are perceived, and I think it's an individual thing. And I can't wait to dive deeper and to know your opinion. How do you find the link between the body and awareness or consciousness? I will let you choose what comes first.
Wow. That's a very good question that can go in many directions. I would say that the body holds awareness, consciousness, not all of it, but I think at least a good part of it in this incarnation. And I see it, I call it myself the vessel that is navigating through life and its storms.
I grew up feeling that I'm a body. That something was missing, like the sparkle that I was thinking that could be seen were not present in the world, but I was mostly experiencing myself as a body. Until I was not, with different moments where I felt that it's not only the body that it's guiding me, directing me and so on, but the primordial experience, it was this. And later on, I felt and I arrived to remember that I am a soul that has as an expression into this 3D world, a body. And the analogy that I heard was very beautiful. It was like consciousness and souls are like vast spaces. And actually the body, it is the middle condensation of that sphere that represents the soul, and the soul obviously a part of the consciousness. And imagining that, I imagine so many bubbles, huge spheres with a lot of information, all condensed on another sphere, which is the earth, and each body having actually the representation, the condensed form in the material world of the soul. And I loved it very much. But yes, that's why I don't think it can hold everything. It holds literally what is bearable to be held in this 3D world.
So how can we tune in?
If you want, I can share a bit about my experience. Like a few years ago, not too many, I heard from somebody that was, let's say, seeing energies and working with energies, that I was detached from my body with around 30 centimeters, or that my body was not really in the same place with my energy, or with my energy. And she asked me at that time if I would like to be grounded. I was not fully understanding the concept of grounding, what means to be grounded or to inhabit your body fully. And I said yes. And it was very interesting that 3 weeks I have cried after that moment. And I was feeling basically not necessarily the sorrow, but a lot of the things that I was not able to feel because I was detached a bit from my body. And that was the first time when I questioned then how much time I was present in my body, like fully present in here and now, and just live life as it is without needing to detach in order to just go on with whatever it was. So that was the first moment of understanding that I was not fully present. And then I started to be interested in what means actually to be present in the body. And well, it was a long way, which I will gladly share, but I'm curious as well about how or when did you arrive to fully or to inhabit as much as possible your body, feel safe to inhabit the body and the space.
Wow. First of all, thank you very much for sharing. This is very interesting and makes me go everywhere in my head. I thought I was a body for a very long time. And I thought my body was broken as it was signaling me many things that were maybe not working in my life back then, as I was in survival mode most of the time, I think the entire time. And as the body was speaking, I was judging it. I was judging it very much. So I was feeling like I was inside. It was me. There was nothing else. But yeah, I had a lot of resentment towards it, as it made me feel like it's, how do you call this, a punishment. That I'm not taking care enough of my body, of myself, and that it is punishing me. But actually it was just directing me and showing me what was maybe not aligned with my life back then. So I maybe have drifted a bit from your initial question, but yeah.
So most of the time we're speaking that my body, my temple, or take care of your body as it is your temple. And if we're thinking about the I am that we keep on discussing, the body, it's the sum of our, or has the imprints of our experiences from this life, or transgenerational and so on. So how do we see and where they are stored and how the body it can show us and why this is working?
I think the mind is always telling you a story. So it is not stored in the mind because stories can be stuck there and they might not even be what happened. The body is, in my opinion, always holding and telling the truth. But the difference between the story and the truth can be quite wide, quite big. So I would say it's stored in the body. For many people, trauma is stored in the hips. Physically, but when you tune in into the sensation, or when you go back listening to that story, but also tuning in with the body, most people hold it in the solar plexus or in the heart space or in the throat, for things that maybe have not had the time to be voiced or felt or digested.
It's true that most of the trauma is stored in the body, and the mind holds the stories, holds the limiting beliefs, holds the patterns. The nervous system actually holds the patterns. But when you really want to get rid of trauma, let's say, first of all, we need to look at the whole system. So you can spend literally 5 years on a psychologist bench, and then after, or you can go do some somatic work out with your body, and then after a certain amount of time to find yourself in the same spot as you were before. At least this was my experience. This is what I understood about I was intellectualizing it, and I was not understanding, but why doesn't it go? Because it's stored in the body and you have to release it from the body, and you need to cry it, you need to shake it, you need to release it in your own form of release. Sometimes it can be even messier than that, who knows? For some it's less. So as a holistic approach, although I am a bit afraid of this term because I think it has been overly used in so many ways, but it's literally about being able to address the mind with its values, because if you don't change the values, you don't reevaluate how you see the world, what you did with the body, it's not going to help, and vice versa. If you're not taking out of the body, then you will remain with the patterns in the nervous system. So it's a work that has to be done in multiple layers, and this is the beauty of our times, because neuroscience has so much data and new researches showing how the brain functions, how the nervous system is linked to the body, how the consciousness is linked with all this beautiful system that it's our body, and us as a humanity as another entity, whole entity.
You were just mentioning the somatic exercises,
Yes.
and I would like to set up the stage again because it's a new term. I know that you are working a lot with somatic exercises. What are they and how are they used?
Oh, wow. That's a broad question. Somatic exercises. First, to define somatic, because maybe not everyone knows what it means. I think it comes from, I'm not sure, Latin or Greek, soma, which means the body, which is, the sensations in the body. Regarding somatic exploration or somatic exercises, there are plenty. I think for people who would like to start, the most important part is to maybe remain first in stillness and silence and look at your breath, breathing, because I think this is the easiest way to get back to the presence and the present moment is by breathing, by being more conscious and aware. And there are plenty of exercises. I think I have only the word in French right now, like coherence cardiaque, coherence, okay. Thank you. And there are many apps that are free, for example, on your phone. So you can just look at the bubble, go up and down. There are also plenty of videos on YouTube for 5 minutes to just settle with your breath and get the path between the brain and the heart aligned again. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Can you tell how does this work?
Well, cardiac coherence breathing technique was firstly created in order to help people with chronic anxiety and cardiac problems to avoid overcharging the heart and release too much cortisol into the body. So actually, this technique manages to slow the heart rate. It helps you to breathe fully again, not shallow as you do when you are afraid. When you are afraid, you breathe halfway. The oxygenation is not happening. And in the same time, it aligns with the brain. So we have two hemispheres that are sometimes not aligned, not activated properly. If the left one is overly activated, then you have a lot of stress because it's very logical, while the right one holds a lot of intuitiveness and everything that makes you more attuned with your heart. And there is this coherence, cardiac coherence. That does not mean only being present in the brain or in the heart. It is literally a coherence that comes into the being.
Because we are having neurons both in the heart and in the brain.
And in the fascia as well. So people are discovering more and more that we are such a complex. I mean, that neurons are in multiple places except the brain, which is, let's say, the main source, and fascia as well has. And I wanted earlier to add something, another dimension of the somatic perspective, which is that muscles, the muscles and as well the fascia are holding a lot of what trauma or tension has been accumulated through time. And in PTSD, one of the most and important exercises in the practice of overpassing it and even keeping it through the life, it's muscle tension release. So you contract the muscles and then you release them to signal the body what is the state in which it was, which is contracted, and then how it feels to be relaxed.
So we arrive directly to somatic exercises. But for most people, when they're speaking about working with the body, there are some more down to earth or more used things. One, it will be, for example, running or doing some gym or doing a massage or so let's take it from there. What is the impact while feeling the body and using the body? How does it help with the energy flow? Because we were speaking about emotions. Now let's speak about the energy flow and the body.
Oh, it's a good subject. As life is movement, you need movement to live. When there's no movement anymore, there's no life. And we have plenty of emotions and energies that are stored if we don't move enough. And to avoid keeping the stagnant energies inside, it's very important to move.
Any kind of movement, I think it does. For me, it started with dancing. I think there is where I am most drawn to do. But in the end, movement, it means to just walk. Walk on the street for 20 minutes or in nature, which is most advisable, and you are going to be present in your body and you're going to be grounded. If you walk barefoot as well, and we were discussing a few days ago, how about having at one point maybe a series of exercises, the most common, simple and easy to do exercises or practices about being present in the body, embodiment. Now, if we take the natural path, the easiest thing to do is to go ground yourself with putting the feet on the ground, on grass, thing with nature. So it's about connection in the end, grounding
And discharge.
Present in the body. In this case, it's releasing, first of all, because the earth is taking the charge and you are as well receiving something. So there is an exchange, it's a connection. If I would describe now being present and embodiment in the body, it's like literally feeling connected and safe with yourself, inside yourself. And there are multiple ways in which people can do that. But if I would say it again, what is the easiest thing to do? It's what God already gave us, like this earth with whatever it has. You can touch a flower, you can garden, you can walk barefoot, you can swim into the sea, touch animals, touch another human. And from here on, there are multiple ways. But we were speaking about, and I was asking you, what was the one that most benefited you, or the one that helped you the most when you felt that you're not fully in your body, or you're not feeling fully connected with yourself? What was that one technique or that one practice that you decided to keep it because it was like, wow?
So in my past, I was someone who has had panic attacks on a daily basis, maybe 4 to 5 very intense ones, where I was completely dissociating due to the trauma I had experienced and hadn't dealt with back then. Mm-hmm. So some triggers, maybe crowded places or closed places, as taking a subway was a trigger. And back then, getting back to the body, my psychologist back then taught me an exercise that we will definitely discuss in another format, so you can do it at home as well, about naming the things you see, you smell, connecting back to your senses fully, and breathing. Breathing was the first thing I needed to do to get back to the body, not being in panic, letting fear flood my system. And Yeah, I think it was mostly about the breath that helped me most back then, because I was a lot in my head and not in the body.
By the way, about the breath, one quick thing. I did cardiac coherence as I was suggested by a very beautiful practitioner of kinesiology to do it, although I was recommending it a lot to other people that I was working with, but let's say that I was skipping it at that time. And I needed it, but I did not knew. And I restarted a series, I think unconsciously I did it for over a month, twice a day. Twice or maybe 3 times a day, not full 5 minutes, even 3 minutes. And then I was with you. We went into a fair, and every time we were going to that fair, I was doing crazy turning thing as an adrenaline explorer that I was. And as soon as I went up into the thing, I realized that, did you really want it to do this? Is that necessary to put all that fear-based cortisol into your body again? And I realized that actually once I have healed my patterns and my addiction, unconscious addiction with cortisol, which is adrenaline, form of release, I realized that I don't want to be in that thing. And as soon as it started moving, I noticed that unlike other times when I was screaming or anything, as I was doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, obviously in seconds, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I did this for the whole time in which I was spinning. And when I got down, I was not dizzy. I was definitely a bit more shocked, but it is breath and cardiac coherence. It's literally one of the most powerful techniques that I know through which a person can remain present in fear, that even if it's induced, and in my case, I agreed to do that, it was definitely a help, and it becomes a mechanism that the body or the mind chooses to do because it knows it's safe.
They're recommending this even to pilots that are training, and they're supporting a lot of G's, and they're putting them to breathe because otherwise they will go unconscious. We were overpassing the discussion with the body and with sports, but I remember that we had at one point a discussion in which you told me that it was important to do some sports and to make them energy moving, otherwise I could get a flu. And that was very interesting when I heard it, because it's normal that if the energy is stagnant, but the association to go that far that the body can manifest it into a different way, which is a small flu or something, it was very interesting, and it remained with me.
I totally understand. I explored this rabbit hole, what sickness is, especially due to my past. I used to be sick a lot. And in French, which is my native language, it was way easier to look at it because the words, the language is very subtle. And we could say that les mots, the words, are expressing les mots. It sounds the same, but les mots, the issues, the problems are expressing the words. This is how we could translate it, if it makes any sense. And your body knows, your body is very subtle, and at first it whispers through small little tensions, but if you don't listen, it comes back stronger at all times. And depending on what is maybe not calibrated or regulated in your nervous system, it will express in different ways. And a flu is often something you catch when, also in German, when you have a running nose, the question is, what can't you smell anymore? What is too much for you right now? So it's really interesting. It's something I could talk about for hours, but we talk about illnesses now.
And I will continue the discussion by asking you about other practices of the body, like pressopuncture, acupuncture, and I know that you love acupuncture a lot, so please.
Oh, I don't do it myself. I don't, but I do it on myself.
Receive it.
I receive it. And at first it was just about the sensations, feeling the flow of energy, the heat, the warmth, and feeling fully in my body as I was feeling every part of it, as I was feeling the energy. This was something that I couldn't do on my own back then, and I needed this external putting of needles to feel it flow and to feel it recalibrate. Now I can connect in a different way to make it flow myself. But acupuncture or also energetic massages, there are a lot of techniques. Some are soft because a lot of people are scared of needles, which I am. So I just close my eyes when they pick me, when they put the needles in. But yeah, I'm sorry, I drifted away again. Your question.
No worries. Just to present a little bit what is the impact on the body and what are all these practicing doing. And I think they are also recalibrating the energetic meridians, no?
Yes, absolutely. Everything is flowing again. But meridians is quite a deep subject that we could dive into as well. But looking at traditional Chinese medicine and all these things that are so wise and helping us. But yeah, that's another subject for another time. Yes.
Well, I was thinking when you were speaking earlier, there is this book, and not only the book, it's actually the author, Gabor Mate, that it's having this book called The Body Keeps the Score, which... and then you said about the German saying that if you have a runny nose, you might not actually want to smell something. And that made me think a lot about the new German medicine, in which each disease and each thing that happens with the body, it's an expression of a conflict that it's still active or it has been solved, and the body just heals. Actually, a disease, it's a healing point mechanism. It's not something that happens to us because we were bad and we think that we don't deserve it. So actually all the diseases are there for us to speak what we were not able to speak or to feel what we were not able to feel. And
when they arrive into the body, they are already at the end of the process.
Yes, they are already. Actually, this is the last part of after the conflict was solved, the intensity or the severity of the illness, it's actually given by the amount of time the conflict was staying into the brain or into the body to the point of that. And that's why some of them are can be even deadly, in the sense it was that much for the body or that much for the whole being to bear that conflict, that it took probably too much time, that it enters a sequence of self-destruction. But this is something as well that we see in our world today as it is mostly because of the disconnection. And that's why we are having this topic about grounding, about presence, because through these signals that the body, which are softer at the beginning and harder after, we have the chance actually to heal fully, profoundly, and inhabit and be present into our body fully.
So we can say that all the illnesses that we are encountering are not only physical, and they are starting much earlier.
Absolutely. Even if this sounds very harsh and complicated for some people to hear, yes, I would say so.
Yes.
And now from a more, you want to continue?
Yes, if we think only from the perspective of the fact that we are coming from two people that are coming from two people and that our DNA is multiplying, we know for sure in these days about the epigenetics, but we know as well that what we come with, like all the genes that are present in a body, they are not going to be turned on or off unless the environment meets the right conditions. So we can bear no matter what genes, what happens into our context of living and our lifestyle and our choices, it's actually going to like put them on or off. If they are on, and it's something that it was in the parents' line, grandparents' line, grandparents, and so on in the family, it means that that thing did not heal and needs and then we go to transgenerational, then we go as well to like what we can say spiritual problems situation of the soul that wants to be expressed and healed. And there is a very rich layer when we speak about diseases. And we are going to have as well, soon, I hope, specialists that are going to help us understand even more.
Let's switch the discussion a little bit, and let's think about, and I propose you from a philosophical angle. How is different the wisdom of the brain with the wisdom of the body?
I think this leads back to what Alina was saying earlier about intellectualization. And maybe we need to go back a bit in regards to the conscious and the subconscious, as maybe Jung was describing it earlier in his books and in his research. The subconscious mind reigns over our heavy everyday actions with 95% when it comes to that. So what we intellectualize are only 5%. So we put some consciousness or some awareness on some things, but actually 95% is happening in the darkness, in the depth of the mind. And we actually have no real control on it if we don't look at it in a deeper way.
Beautiful, which is true. So your question was how the wisdom is held in these two different systems. The body, as Anna was saying earlier, in my opinion, which is absolutely delightful, the body tells the truth. And this is what I love about kinesiology as a practice. You go there and the body says what it has to say, does not do a story like the mind. It is like the biggest difference. So the mind can start saying, actually feels guilty and speaks about who God knows what, while the body just show where the guilt feels heavy or contractions are, and so forth. So I think that the wisdom in the body, it is always present, which you referred it as the truth, while the mind or the brain together arrive to hold or receive wisdom through the connection with the higher realms of our being, which are able to process the bigger picture of what happened, how it happened, and actually how to look at it. So it's more about the perspective, in my opinion.
Okay.
And the nervous system as well has to clear the patterns, because if you don't clear the patterns of, we know that there is a very beautiful TED talk in which it's expressed how the patterns are expresses the skier, and you have the slopes, and every pattern that it's easy to use, it is like a predefined slope. Well, if you have a light snow and you cover all the slopes and you put the skier back up, you can just let him dive again. So basically this is the second part of the healing, when you learn with your skier up there to not take the routes that were guiding you towards probably addictions or God knows what other type of fears, guilt, shame, and so on type of behaviors. And you do create a new one, an authentic one that serves you, that comes from integrity, from sovereignty, and so on, from a healed human experience.
So we were proposing at the beginning of this episode of telling of some small things that can help people at home to do a test for themselves and to see how they connect, or that they can feel their body and they can feel their impulses, and they can dive more into it, into this sensibility that is developing in time, like any other practice.
Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, there are two types of grounding or presence-based work. So one was the one that we were speaking about, which was when we are having an anxious event. In my case, I had moments of intense fear where my eyes were like making a lot of sound, in which I was needing to touch things, look around and say, I am safe. And although the words are coming out of your mouth and you are consciously being able to say that, the nervous system was still feeling a threat that was literally not there. So there are techniques that help us come into ourselves in the moment, because there is an emergency, it's an urgency that was declenched. And then there are others that can help people in different ways, like the heart coherence, that it's an exercise to which you build that into your life. You build presence, then you have mindfulness. Then we were speaking about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have nature. So there are multiple, depending on right now, for example, what I do, and it's quite different from everything else that we shared for about 1.5 years, and I give thanks to Anna for bringing it into my life. It's multidimensional meditation music, which brings me a lot to my body and sometimes out of the body. And that is the beautiful paradox of this. It's very bodily sometimes, in the sense that I feel pains in the body, I feel the need to cry, I feel the need to laugh. So this is pure somatization. And sometimes I just go into this state that I learned and I understood, it's called Nidra Yoga, in which the body just rests while the mind flows without thoughts. Sometimes I glimpse stuff from the subconscious and I explore them. Sometimes it is just like a deep relaxation moment and nothing remains into my mind. So it's important to explore from all the natural ones, like walking barefoot, hugging a tree, gardening, petting, hugging humans, to the one that probably connects you deeper. So if we don't speak about the one that sets you back into non-panic, into a parasympathetic way of experiencing life, and nervous vague regulation and so on, what would you do to just embody more of yourself, into your body?
I have plenty of techniques, but if I would look at myself as a beginner that has maybe never listened to his or her body, I would start very softly with putting awareness on different parts of the body, going from the toes up and scanning, doing like a body scan, saying like, oh, how do I feel like? How do I feel my toes? Wiggle them and bringing awareness to every part of it. And something that Alina described to me a few days ago, speaking about her kids, was when a mother touches her kids, they can map their body. And without every body part being touched, it cannot really be mapped. And this was absolutely delicious to hear. And I don't know if you would like to share more about that or not, but first doing a body scan and
feeling how it feels to touch your body. And this is not at all something egoistic or self-centered. It is literally about being aware how your body feels, how it feels to be touched, and see basically with your mind, if you just connect with that part of the body, how are my toes feeling right now? A few are cold, a few are warm in this moment for me. And then this is a mindfulness actually practice in which you are exploring your body, you without judgment, you assess how it feels, and then if you want, you can just ask to release or to speak about it. But we go already to another direction here.
You were speaking now about the kids, and I remember something very interesting to our topic. What was that research that the kids, the newborns, cannot live if they don't have
touch.
So
this is something that has been studied, and a human baby, probably not only human baby, many other mammals, and except the ones that are meant to just, as like turtles, once they are out of the egg, to just go and swim into the sea. We mammals, and especially humans, we need touch. We need, because as well, when a body it's touched, it feels, it exists, it maps, and we need touch, we need to hear, we need to smell. So the other living organism which is the primary caretaker or caretakers, it's a great importance.
And you were mentioning before about hugging. How important is hugging for a grown-up, not for children?
Even to hug a tree, but to hug a human, that is something exceptional.
No, but we need at least 2 hugs a day, no?
Hugs are helping our nervous system to regulate and to feel safe, and oxytocin. So I heard there is very interesting, women are very easily releasing, much easier, not really easily, because it depends as well on the life experience. But we can, as women, we are able to release much easier oxytocin, while for the man, I know one of the easiest thing, it's through kissing. And but it needs to last at least 6 seconds, otherwise it's not released, and it has to be a passionate kiss. Voila. And then otherwise you can hug people, animals, trees, just go wild with it. Yeah, I love it. I'm a hugger.
As we are getting closer to the end, what would be the most interesting experience that you are having with your body, that was signaling something, or that was guiding you in some way, or that was releasing something in a very interesting way?
Wow. So we are approaching the end, but this is quite a story.
Please, no worries.
I think this was something about the wisdom of a body holding the truth that I kept on not listening to. So if we go back to that story, I just turned 20 back then, and I was in a very toxic relationship with my first boyfriend. And from the beginning, I know my body held some truth, and I felt a lot of tension. I had digestive issues. I was feeling depressed. I was really not feeling well, but I was putting these symptoms aside, as I was back then holding the limiting belief that for love you have to sacrifice, and that whatever happens you have to stay, even if you die, what you call a sacrifice. So I wasn't listening to the whispers, and I wasn't listening to the exhaustion that came. So I actually caught the Epstein virus, Epstein-Barr. This is weird because Epstein is in the news right now.
Yes, exactly.
That's another kind of illness that comes when your immune system collapses. It can lead to a very difficult path and sometimes also to death. And I wasn't listening, so it kept on being harder and harder on my body until I couldn't walk anymore, and my legs stopped working.
Wow.
Yes.
Up to that?
Up to that. So I had to use a little mobility scooter, as older people use. I just turned 20. So then I realized, okay, I might need to explore and stop something, as it was showing that, first of all, I was in survival with the nervous system, but that I didn't want to go somewhere, especially the legs not working, and I couldn't leave. But this was me holding to that story. The body knew I was not safe.
But in the mind, as intuition, you are also having thoughts about it, or it was just happening in the body?
I knew that it was not a good relationship, but I was holding on to that belief that it is what it is. I should not be too sensitive, and for love, you do. For love, you suffer. I then, had the moment where, oh no, this cannot continue this way. So I started working towards liberating myself, giving myself some safety, regulating my nervous system, and also leaving that relationship, which was very hard to do. And with time, I think it took a year, I could walk again. And this is
1 year.
1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Oh, this virus is very heavy. You sleep a lot. I slept for 18 hours a day. So I couldn't do a lot apart from surviving and recalibrating. But this was when I didn't listen to the body. And it was showing me the entire time, getting louder and louder until it stopped me from moving.
From moving. Wow.
Yeah, and movement is life, you know?
We started from there.
Yes.
We need to listen to your story as well.
Well, what came to my mind when you asked the question was not literally a moment when I was not listening to the body. I was not listening to the tiredness. I was not listening to, even if I was at that moment, it did not seem for me feasible to do anything. But in the end, I did not receive an illness, but I broke my my foot. I would say just largely my foot by jumping 10 centimeters into the house. But in the second, I heard the clack, because I heard clack doing the bone, and I sat on the couch. I knew it was broken, and I knew instantly why is there. And it felt instantly. You could have not stopped otherwise. And it was true. And that was actually the beginning of my self-inquiry, healing, and fully recalibrating. I mean, in the sense that fully taking it serious in the terms of how can I release this body from everything that holds for so many years and probably generations and probably life lessons from the soul perspective. And how can I regulate my nervous system? That was very important. And then what do we do with all the limiting beliefs and everything that kept on bringing me? Because I had very different moments in life when I had the impression that I have arrived, and those were just evolutionary steps completed. And that was my best at that time with all that. But I was never doing a full inquiry over my life, over my traumas, my limiting beliefs, and so on. And now we are much there, but I know that the life challenges are still here to do, and presence is the most beautiful thing that I can wish for everybody, as I wished and I'm focused on for myself.
So now to draw some conclusions, when we're speaking about our body, connection with our body, what becomes possible?
Deep alignment, a connection to your higher self as well. As the answers are all there, you just don't see because you're maybe not ready to see. And everything is possible when you start getting back to your center. As we are here on Earth in this physical body, we can call it, and you can expand, I think, from there. When you are out of that survival and that you have done maybe a journey of inquiry of your limiting beliefs and connecting your soul to your vessel. And I think a lot is possible.
Elevation is possible.
Would you start with the body, or with the mind, with the emotions?
Depends what's putting the most suffering for the person. If it's a problem in the body, really like somatization in that moment through illness, back pain, shoulder pain, headache, and what you were saying, you focus directly there to save, in that sense, the body. And then you bring everything else that is needed, all the layers. You go to the psychological or mental, or then you can guide from where the person is. You always meet the person where it is. You don't drag it into a specific place, the body, the mind, or the spirit. This is how I see it.
Would it be anything to add, or would it be something that you would like to specially recommend to the viewers?
Breathe.
Wow. Breathe, yes. This is definitely... we always have been taught that breathing is something that it's automatic, and there is nothing out of which you should put your conscious, aware, or how can I say, focus on. While it's actually the key entry into someone's interior life, connection to oneself, connection to everything. Oxygenation through the body and everything. And then what I would add, if I would add something, is that life, it's worth lived in presence. to fully be inhabited. And I heard, this will be actually my final thing to say, I heard Peter Crown saying in, I think, Government Summit 2026, that people don't want to live longer. They want to be present, which means to don't have suffering in the here and now in order to go somewhere else in the future or in the past, which it's a very beautiful and decent thing I think that we all need. We need to be present because life, it's worth living, and it's good to know clarity, why we are living life the way we do, to have conscious choices about it. And everything starts with presence.
That being said, we want to thank you if you reach this moment in the podcast, and we want to invite you to the next ones. Be with us, support us through subscribing, sharing, or liking this material, and also be part of our community.
Ask questions, place interest. We will gladly come back with answers, and hopefully soon with people that are specialized.
Until next time, as the girls were saying, breathe.
And be present.